my opinions about the Islamic world. The Islamic world is being blessed to travel and to visit parts of the Islamic world. Like I said, I spent most of my adult life, my formative adult years, from 19 to 27, in Medina, in the Medina Nabawiyah, in the prophetic city, Tayyibat al-Tayyiba, and learning Islam. And so that was something that I really appreciate, and I got a chance to meet and interact with a lot of Muslims, to ask questions, to see their situations, how it was different, how it wasn't. My roommates were from Azerbaijan, from Turkey, from Sweden, from Suriname, Burkina Faso, Indonesia, Morocco. I had roommates from Mali, and I interacted with people from almost every country or ethnicity that you saw, from France to various countries of Africa, Mozambique, and West Africa, to South America, Mexico, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, any country that has a stand at the end of it, Russia, places in Europe. And so I think that the Muslim world is, as we see now in current circumstances, turmoil. And I kind of see this as, and I hope it to be a cleansing, and I hope and I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it is a way that we are, for the Muslims to return to Allah, and to return to focusing on their purpose, and focusing on giving da'wah, calling to Allah, focusing on spreading truth, upholding justice, because these are the things that have gone away from our Muslim countries. You can take any one of the Muslim countries and you'll find that it's known to be in its day-to-day routine, not very, a lot of bribery and political turmoil and strife, and you have these, very strong, oppressive dictators that stop the practice of Islam, stop the practice of things and of those natures. And so I see this, and I hope that it's a cleansing. And those are for mainly the Muslim countries. And I see the countries in where the Muslims are a minority. You see that they're often getting bigger. Islam is spreading. I see that as the world becomes smaller, that we have closer and closer ties. And so I think that there's a lot of potential in our Muslim world, and we kind of have to leave alone some of our cultural differences, our even in a very broader sense, and very inappropriate ideological differences that are not from the authentic Quran and Sunnah, and kind of leave those things alone and really focus on upholding truth and justice. And I think that you see it. Allah says in the Quran that these are the days that we go back and forth. They will switching back and forth between the people. And so with the fall of the Uthmani Empire and the Khilafate before that, and those things of that nature, I think that you will see a different type of Islam coming forth. Islam that is not weak, and well, Islam is never weak, but an Islam that is I guess I say a political Islam that is not weak, Islam that is focused on its principles of upholding truth and justice, and I think it's very promising. I think it's very promising that you see in these things in the Muslim world. Inshallah, it says comparing East and West cultures. What are the similitudes and differences? Nowadays, there are a lot of similarities. A lot of similarities in the way people eat. You know what people tend to watch movies. You see a lot of spreading of what you call Eastern culture in America and in the West in general. In addition to that always continuous Western culture or Western that was there in the East. So I think that if we really look at it, there's always going to be similarities of trying to do things, of maybe processes, trying to do things the American way or the British way, or things of that nature. Also, you have the culture, people's culture becoming, like I said, food and traditions becoming a lot more widely accepted because of the mass immigration and the people living, working, and going to school in different areas. The differences are pretty, I think, are kind of clear. There's still some things that you would see, and I don't think the differences here should be considered as being bad. But we see what happens in the East is more or less of a very culture-orientated society, where in the West you may not have that so much. Okay, going back to the differences, I think that we see that the East is very very focused and very I don't want to say stuck, but stuck on culture. We see that a little bit of change now, and I think that there was a big lack of what we'll call culture in the West due to its I guess prominently its secularism and its lack of nationalism. I would say nationalistic based things. I don't know, though American culture is very strong and it's there, but I think the principles are quite different. So not so much so with that. Then we have spreading of Islam. How much to be done? Which ways do you advise to do Muslims to spread Islam? Spreading Islam is very, very, very important. It's like we said before. Basically, spreading Islam is through two ways. Number one, clarifying our belief, the belief of Tawheed, the belief of oneness of God. Making sure that person has a connection with their Creator. That's number one. Number two, the other thing that I think can be said is that Islam must be practiced. It must be practiced. We can't call ourselves Muslims and then not act like Muslims. And so those are the two main things that I think that are very, very important in the spread of Islam. Clarifying the belief in God, and making sure that's there, and taking away any misconceptions. Also making sure that we as Muslims are upholding our belief and practicing correctly. That it's incumbent, and I think that's what you'll see is a big deterrent for a lot of people, where they don't practice what they preach, and a lot of people are tired of that, and that was one of the main things that I think would bring a lot of people into Islam, is if we really explain and put out there our belief system, and made sure that people didn't have to guess, and that Muslims are not scared to tell how they believe in God, and how you worship God. And then number two is to really make sure that we are upholding our end of the bargain, and practicing Islam, not at home, not at not on Fridays only, but really practicing Islam, and making sure that it doesn't come off to Muslims or non-Muslims as being culture only. You don't want people to think that, I don't want to be an Arab. That's a very common thing here. Oh, the guy, he became Arab, or he became Turkish, or he became whatever. That's not the case. Oh, he's African now, or whatever. No, the person's Muslim. And so that's very important that we are able to uphold our practices, and make sure that they're not so culturally entangled that will cause non-Muslims to kind of stay away from it, because you don't want them to say, I like their belief system, but I don't like how they practice, or it's I don't want to become a Turkish. I don't want to become Turkish. I don't want to become Arab. I don't want to become African or whatever. I don't want to become this. And so they don't want to lose their culture, their sense of identity. And there's no reason for that. So I think these two things of the practicing of clarifying the Tawheed, in addition to making sure Islam is practiced correctly. It says, what do I understand when I listen to the following words? Allah. Man, that's deep. I believe in omnipresent God. God is there. God is merciful. God is cherishing. Allah is sustains me. Allah has given me life. These are things that come to my mind when I think Allah. My reason for being. I'm here because of Allah, and I don't think. It's not the thing that you think of God and you don't think of a wrathful God, or I think of punishment or hellfire or anything like that. I just think of purpose. I think that this is my purpose of being here was Allah put me here. So that's what I think. The love of Allah. There's something that I want to obtain, and I think I both ways. It can go both ways. The love of Allah. I want to make sure that I'm loving Allah correctly, and I want to make sure that I'm receiving Allah's love. Basically that's what I see. That the universe. When I think of the universe, I think of. I think of. How would say it's limitless, and I don't want to say it like that in that type of aspect, but I think that there's so many things out there in the universe that I just don't know, I can't comprehend, and It's you know, sometimes you actually think, well, I'm just a speck in this life, and I just think of something very vast and something that's out there. The world, this dunya. The dunya is I don't know, something that is, it's finite. I'm going to have only so much time. My time in the world is only so much. I don't, you know, I think there's a lot of beautiful things here. My family's here. Basically, it's all that I know, from the standpoint of all that I have experienced, rather. You know, I haven't experienced anything else, and so that's what I think of when I think of the world, or the dunya. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Excuse me. When you think of the Prophet, I think of selflessness. I think of purpose, of focus. I think of a being that expended, or, you know, extinguished himself, you know, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, he sacrificed a lot. He did a lot of things, and you can't but help and think about love when you think about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's really, you know, we are taught, and we see that you come and you think that a lot of things in Islam, and a lot of things that are there that I've learned from Islam, it was from this Arab man from the desert over almost 2,000 years ago, that didn't know how to read or write. And it's, you know, I think of that as, you know, the person that came to give me Islam. That's what I think of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.